I just want to let you guys know that I want to help all of us really get us through it. And, you know, hopefully when we come out on the other side of it all, that we're going to look back and say, you know what, this wasn't too bad.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to today's episode of the Crush Card Cup. We're here on round number 2. I'm actually playing against someone who actually watches my stream on Twitch. His name is Jason Leonard, and yes, he is related to Jeff Leonard, the legendary mind duelist that you guys all know well. Anyways, we're actually going to be playing the mirror. So he's been watching the stream, and you know, he's been seeing the stuff that I've been doing with Eldlich, and so he and I are I decided to take Invoked Eldlich into this matchup, and I didn't know if he was gonna play at the time, but I figured it would be some Eldritch variant, and Invoke Eldritch just like destroys like a lot of the mirrors. But instead, he actually surprised me by deciding to play essentially like the same deck that I am playing, and so essentially like a mirror right here. And I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, it'd be really cool to like dual viewer, and I guess to where it actually counts. Let's get right into it, guys. Okay, so I win the dice roll here, and I like to go first. So let's see my opening hand. So here I'm activating and starting off with Meltdown, just to like bait out an interruption. If he does Ash here, I'll just go Spellbook and summon Blue Boy to like keep playing. But I didn't want to like secret first here. So I get Alistair. I'm gonna go normal summon Alistair to get Invocation, and it didn't get me with a hand trap, and so this is where I felt really comfortable. I just went secret to search knowledge, and then I can just dump my Alistair to draw 2, which is super free. And see, I drew into the Magician's Souls, which is super lucky, and of course like the Cosmic Cyclone. So the first thing I do is I activate Invocation, and that's because I want my souls to be able to resolve if he has like any impermanence or something else, which honestly I felt like he didn't have it, just because if he did, he would have activated already on Alistair. Like, Alistair is one of the best baits. So there, the Oracle Mana, which is like, it is bricky. The problem with even drawing souls, even though it's like super nice, is that like I didn't have a way to special summon souls, because my target for souls is Palladium Oracle Mana, and I kind of hard drew it, which is like very unfortunate. Like, I literally was like kind of quote unquote like not opening the best. And as you see here, I'm activating Invocation and add Alistair to my hand. And here I set 1, and I don't set Conquistador because I want to be able to negate traps, and like Conquistador literally isn't gonna do anything when it's set. Like, it's basically a vanilla, and so that's why I kept it in my hand, because I can just souls, send it next turn, and then banish it to like get access to Lord there. And so here I'm just passing out a Mechaba and like a Cyclone, which I thought was still fine because I also have the DD Crow and Mechaba negate, so I have like 3 forms of interruption here, so I didn't feel too bad. He starts off with Terraforming, which is fine. He searches Meltdown. He activates Meltdown. I let that resolve because my game plan is to just negate the Alistair with Mechaba here. So he's gonna activate Eldlich, and this is where the problem comes. Because he started off with Meltdown, I know he has Alistair in hand, which means if he gets access to Lord, he then can like invoke the Lord at his hand to the grave and then start making a lot of plays. Here I had no choice but to Cosmic Cyclone this. It was just the correct play at the time, and if he did already have the Lord, he would have started off with it. And what I mean by that is like there's no reason to activate Meltdown first, because if he started his priority of main phase 1 with Lord, he can just send Mechaba. There was literally no way to negate that. Like negating that is just so neg, just because like keeping Mechaba on board after it negates the Lord effect to send, Mechaba just becomes a vanilla after that point. So I knew he didn't have Lord in his hand, so this is why I Cosmic Cyclone. Obviously, like if he has it in his hand and like he didn't play it to like, I don't know, like super mind game me, that's fine too. But just based on like what the sequencing of his plays, like I was able to like kind of figure that out. Then he starts off with Alistair, and like I said, I'm gonna negate this 100%. And the reason why I discarded Souls is because I wanted Alistair for the follow-up, and I wanted DD Crow as a form of interruption in case he sends any of his like elixirs or lands to his graveyard to banish it before it hits the end phase, or if it's a spell, which is like the spell elixirs, I can banish it before it gets activated. So there he gets banished. Activates the black, which is like still very good because he gets access to Lord at the end of the day. So he summons Lord here, which I always found it weird, but he kept summoning in zone 2 and 4. And you'll see that, guys, like throughout the match. Like I think this is like a big misplay. Obviously, he didn't get punished for it. But like if I can like soul special summon, I can literally just like Anima take this for free. So and then just like straight up kill him. So summoning in this zone is just like a big misplay in my opinion. He sets 2 here and he sets 3, and then he's gonna pass. So in draw phase, I start off with activating. I'm 100% just gonna activate Alistair, just like search. Bait out any trump shoes he may have. Like at this point he has white, Conquistador, and call by, which is like fine. And so at this point I linked off the Alistair, and that's something that I probably shouldn't have done, but I needed to do that because I didn't need to do that. Like the best way to have like played around his call by the grave, which is definitely going to come down on the Alistair, is to just activate Invocation right away while Alistair's on the field. And that's what I start doing to play around getting DD crowed on my Alistair when I activate Invocation. Here is gonna call by the Alistair, and I'm like, okay, sure, that's fine. Because even though it did get called by and I didn't get a free body, I can just go Invocation effect to add back the Alistair to hand anyway. So at that point I still went +1 on him, and that's like fine to me. And then let's see what I do here. So then I went all the way to end phase, and he activates Conquistador. I automatically chain Almirage to protect Mechaba, and this was also one of the main reasons why I linked the Alistair off, even though I could have played around the Conquistador. And I probably should have Conquistador negated his Conquistador here, but for some reason I decided not to do that because I thought he had red here set. So I just chained Almirage to the Mechaba, which I think was a misplay on my part, but that's fine anyways because he's gonna be forced to pop a random card on the field regardless, or like it's an optional effect. But he's gonna pop the field spell, and then I have like essentially nothing else. I DD crowed immediately the black, so he doesn't get access to it in his main phase 1. And here he's gonna top deck another meltdown, which is like absolutely insane. Like you'll see this where he just like has the most insane top decks. So he top decks the meltdown, gets Alistair, normal summons Alistair, and of course I just negate it straight out. There's no way I wouldn't. And the only problem here, which is a big misplay on my part, is he called by my Alistair, which meant his Alistair should not have been able to resolve. And so this is a misplay that I noted, and I was like, I told him, wait a second, wasn't your Alistair already negated? But I guess it can still legally attempt to activate it, which is fine. So it was just like big misplay on my part. And now he makes Akashi Magician, Lord, send the meltdown to add it back to hand, and then to special summon. He tries to use Akashi Magician here, but I remind him that like because it's not co-linked, like he can't use it. Like you can't use the second effect to excavate. He attacks and beat over my Mechaba, which is so unfortunate because if I didn't waste the negate on that like Alistair, I would have had to follow up guaranteed. Here I just activate red, and I summon it from the deck. And yeah, and then that's pretty much it. So at end phase, both of us like essentially have nothing, but he has Conquistador, which was essentially sent from like the following turn when he tries to like pop my Mechaba. And so here he sets red, and I draw, and I top deck my old meltdown, which is like was so lucky. Like I definitely got super lucky here because this meltdown essentially is gonna let me win the game, and because I'm gonna show you guys a sequencing of plays to allow me to kill him, because both his one of his sets is public, the other one is not. So what I'm gonna do here is I first link off into Nightmare Phoenix, and this is the play I do a lot whenever someone gives me a Nightmare Phoenix, because it lets me dump a card from my hand to pop a back row, and I pop right here the unknown. And this was what I was talking about. There's one known and one unknown, so that's why I popped the white there. And so at this point I get to draw a card, and I draw into a second invocation, and then this second invocation is what allows me to like extend into a way to kill him, because like I said, I always consider like what are the way that I can like kill my opponent right now. And so here I use Lord effect to summon back the Eldlich from the graveyard, I think, and I go invocation. I banish both my cards to get into Purgatrio. And because I know that like I need to make Purgatrio to like try to kill him, because his Lord is at 3500, so Purgatrio buffed with Alistair is the only way I win this interaction. And then And then because I have another Alistair in the graveyard from the following turn, I can then activate my my second invocation, and then this is gonna allow me to win the game because I can then make Mechaba. I can go battle phase. I know he has red. And so I go damage step. I attack him for 400. I attack him again on the Akashi, and then what I do is I bait out red. Right? So he's gonna try to activate red, and if he does, I'll just attack with a Purgatrio again, and I'll kill him with Mechaba and Lord attacking directly. And so that was like a sequencing of plays, just like OTK, knowing everything he had on the field. And here he wins the dice roll, or because he lost, he now decides to go first. He opened up like really insane, and I didn't realize it at the time, but he opened up double counter trap, and that because they're unknowns and it wasn't search, it makes it much more impactful and powerful. So here he opens up the Invoked engine, which is really good because he has Eldlich, which can then search out the Lord, and this is why like opening Alistair and Lord is like really busted, and this is exactly why. Because then you can make Mechaba, and then you can Lord send the what do you call it? You can send the meltdown, but he decides to send Eldlich here, and I think the main reason why he did that was because so that he can get access to his engine pieces. And like I said, he keeps misplaying and summoning the Lord in this zone here, and so he summons it in zone 2 again. And I still, like I said, was still confused on why he did that. But anyways, he went to end phase and he sets another red, and just so the reason why is just so that the counter trap is live. But I don't know if that necessarily like was necessary, because he didn't have a land to trigger. Like he didn't need Lord to be on the field anyways because he doesn't have a land, if that makes sense. So like there's no reason to like keep this guy on the field. Like you can just literally land him, and then that's totally fine. Like you don't need to revive him back because you don't have lands to trigger off. But I obviously had 3 set. I only knew the red, so I thought that the other 2 were lands, to be honest, and so I did my best to play around it. So the first thing I do is I go Lord and I send Mechaba, and this is what I do to like bait out the negate. But then he shows me this forever, and I was like, oh god, okay, that's fine. So that's already like one form of interruption that I went through. So at this point I thought he only had Mechaba left, and because he shotgun red on resolution, I thought he had a golden land right here. Here I'm gonna activate Outland just to search Haquero. The main reason why I searched Haquero is essentially my thought process was that I just wanted another trap in my hand that did something, because Haquero is like really good against this matchup, and even though I already had it, that's fine because I already expected us to get into a grind game. I wanted him to know that I had one so that he can play round 1 but not the second one, which was not search. So then he Mechabuzz my Lord effect in the grave, and I was like, okay, that's fine. And the reason why I did that was because I wanted to bait him to dump his Alistair, because I knew he had Alistair in hand. And then at this point, I can then use Invocation, even though it was dead, on his cards, if you guys saw right here. So like I literally baited his Mechaba so I can Invocation his cards. And so that's exactly what I did here. So I banished his 2 cards, and then I can summon my own Purgatrio literally for free. And so at this point, I have Conquistador in the grave, so I can banish it and get red, and then get access to my Aquaros. And then I wanted to keep one in hand just to like negate his trap. Like I said, I thought this was a land. There's literally no way this card was on a land, because why would you not shotgun it? And so I set Cosmic Cyclone here because I wanted him to activate a land to like pop my Mechaba, and I can just chain Cosmic and banish his Judgment. Or in this case, I didn't know it was Judgment, but I can then banish his what do you call it? I can then banish his like land and then outplay him on the interaction. And even the reason why I also set Cosmic is because I kept a trap in hand. I didn't care about setting Cosmic and going to end phase, because if he had a land, I can just negate it with Mechaba at end phase and then just win. So here he top decks Souls, like which is like really busted. So he summons the Alistair to search Invocation. Then he's gonna link it off into Almirage, and then he's gonna make Almirage his Secure Garda. And so this is a sequencing of plays. He activated Invocation. I wanted to make Invocation not resolve, and so my thought process was just to activate Haquero and then activate red so that I can then summon the big guy and then banish the Alistair. But unfortunately, he had the Solemn Judgment, which was like so unexpected. Like it was just so sacky. I was like, that's just absurd. But I mean, because of that, he's just gonna straight up win from here because he just makes Mechaba and then attack both all my cards. Like he has so many monsters on the field. Then he just makes Purgatrio and then just kills me. Like I just did the math, and so I'm just gonna immediately concede. There was like no point. But like I said, like that judgment literally came out of nowhere, and like if he didn't have it, he would have 100% lost. Like I just don't think judgment is good in the mirror, but like obviously there are niche situations which they are, and like he just had it at the perfect time, which I thought was like super unfortunate, but you know it happens in Yu-Gi-Oh. And so here I make him go first because I sided in a bunch of go second cards, like evenly matched and everything else, and like going first it's not as necessary because like you usually make a decent board anyway. Like you make an okay board to like beat their stuff, but I was expecting him to side a bunch of go second stuff, so that's the main reason why I decided to go second here, because I wanted his all go second stuff to be dead, and so I basically get to go first in that instance and have like a bunch and have 6 cards. So that was like my thought process. So he opened up no go second cards and essentially just opened up a regular go first hand. So he opens up like literally basically the same hand as before with like Lord and Alistair, which is what I said why the deck is broken, or this variant is so busted. He has Alistair to hand. He's gonna search the Golden Land Forever. It's gonna summon Lord, and so both his thing is live. He sets Forever here just because he doesn't want to get evenly match. So that's like the main reason why. So he banishes the Conquistador at end phase to get red, so that his counter trap is super alive even if I send the Lord. So here, like I said, he's quote unquote like misplacing his Lord again, and so I try to punish him and bait out the first interruption with souls. And so he shotguns this Lord, which I thought was okay, which meant I knew that he had to have a land. So I activate souls, and he's immediately gonna counter trap it, which I thought was a free bait. Because like I said, he's misplacing his zone, and so I wanted to take advantage of that. Next I activate Meltdown, and to search another Alistair to like bait out more interruption. I activate Eldlich to like search essentially what I wanted to do at this point. I want to search the Lord and then bait out more cards, and so at this point I use Alistair effect to search Invocation. At this point I activate I normal summon Alistair, and then he activates Mechaba to negate it. And at this point, I knew he was going to do that. And the reason why I didn't mind Mechaba getting negated at that instance is because I had Invocation. And what I meant by that is I can Invocation the Alistair from my hand, banish his Lord, and then I can just Invocation back the banished Alistair thanks to Mechaba. And so like I said, I was trying to like outplay him on these interactions. So here I activate Invocation, and like he pretty much can't respond, but I try to bait him anyways and asking if he wants to, because Meltdown allows you to respond, but if you do, it's just like it's like ashing Faker under protocol. Like you can, but you just lose the ash. And so I was trying to bait it, but of course he didn't fall for it. So I banish his Lord here, which is like super critical, and then I summon my own Mechaba, and then I'm gonna use Invocation effect to add back the Alistair to my hand. Now at this point I'm gonna use Lord effect to send his Mechaba. And then he has the DD Crow. So I just thought that, I was like, oh my god, that's just absurd. So I sent his Mechaba, and then he banished my Lord, and so I don't have Lord access here, which is like really, really bad. And that's like really, really essential in the grind game. So I just set the pop, and I felt really good in this position. Like I didn't think I was gonna like die at all until he like top decks the godliest card. He top decks souls, but not only did he top deck souls, he literally what do you call it? He's gonna do something really risky here, which like didn't make sense, right? Because the thing is, what he's doing here is he's using red to set the Conquistador, and he's gonna use soul to send both. If he were to do that, right, he has no forms of disruption on my turn, like because both of these are gonna search him a white and a red, which means that the only thing he'll do on my turn is summon a Lord. So I thought at this point, if he does his play, like he's just gonna spam Lords, which I thought was fine. So he's gonna do Soul's effect, send 2 for cost. And the reason why I don't negate it with Mechaba here is because he has the Alistair in hand. Like I just can't, like letting him draw 2 is like totally fine with me because he has Alistair in hand. I was like, okay, that's fine. But if he draws and just sacks me here, which is like he draws Invocation and Meltdown, which means he essentially has 2 invocations now. And he's gonna be able to kill me just because keep in mind he can link off the Lord and just summon it back. So whatever he does here, like, it's gonna be. So I had to negate the first one. Like, there's no way I don't negate the first Alistair. And just because, like, it's gonna search Invocation, and Invocation can just banish, like, my cards. Like, he can banish my own Alistair too, because I have another one in the grave. So at this point, we keep going. And he's, like, still thinking, but he's gonna make Alistair here, which makes sense. Just so that he can Lord Summon back, activate Invocation, banish my cards, and then discard the one Alistair to search another Invocation. Attack for 1,000. I don't die here, so at this point he doesn't kill me, but he's just, like, is overwhelmingly, like, up in advantage. Like, I just, like, don't have much, and I try to protect myself with Conquistador. He's gonna banish Sue and get that. So his only form of interruption is a Mechaba, but the thing is, I draw one card, like, whatever, and then of course I top like an Ash, which is, like, terrible. The only way I get out of that was if I like there's no way I get out of that, because, like, the only way was, like, search Lord maybe and, like, try to, like, send his Mechaba and then summon it back, and then send the Meltdown and summon Lord and, like, try to enter, like, a grind game. But at this point he was just so up in advantage, like, I just couldn't, like, do anything. I search Lord here at this point, and I normal summon Ash, and then what I do here is I keep trying to play because I didn't want to give up. And then, yeah, I changed right there on the Phoenix. The only reason why I did this play so I can dump Lord. After I did that, I can use Lord effect. He's gonna chain, banish my Lord, and then it's just GG from there. And like I said, there's nothing, literally nothing I could do. Like, I attack and, like, I try to keep playing, but, you know, because I don't want to just give up. But yep, oop, I accidentally banished one of these by accident face down. So I show him that it's a red. So I have red, white, but it doesn't matter because, like I said, he has Invocation in his hand. And then he just makes the whole Gustav Max play. And so, like I said, guys, overall it was a really good match. Obviously, like, I had a really good time. But, like, that draw too, from Souls, like, at the last minute was just so sacky. Like, I just, like, was so baffled. I was, like, telling him, like, oh my god, that's sick. Like, that's, like, just insane. Like, the only two cards I lose in that instance with, if he draws those two exact cards. And so, like, I even told him, like, bro, I have a feeling you just drew Meltdown and Invocation. And I was right, and I was like, oh my god, why? I hate being right. But that's one of the things I do is, like, I try to, like, use, like, I try to, like people, obviously it's, like, hard to, like, have tells, like, during online duels, but you can just tell based on, like, what people type. Like, he typed and thinking when he drew two cards off Souls, and the only reason why he did that is because he drew, like, a scenario or, like, a hand in which, like, it requires much more thought than just setting or, like, Lord effect to send. And at that point, I knew that he had to, like, have drawn the Invocation and some way to get to another Alistair. Or, like, even if he drew Invocation, it was actually really busted because my Mechaba would have banished his Alistair, but he would have, because I discard a Alistair for cost, then that means that, like, he can Invocation my Alistair in my graveyard and then shuffle back the Alistair in the banish pile to his hand. And yeah, I mean, overall, it was, like, a really good match, and obviously it was really cool to, like, play a viewer. But yeah, guys, I'll see you guys in the next one. We unfortunately lose this, obviously, but we'll try to do our best on the next one and just keep going. But overall, a good match, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Your thoughts on this commentary, and if you want to see more videos like this is, like, part 2, like I said, guys. And yeah, stay tuned for part 3, which should be uploaded pretty soon.